KNSI, good morning. It is time for taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. Everything you need to know about real estate in the market. VoigtJohnson Real Estate has it. Thursday mornings at 7:23, Saturdays at 7:50 here on KNSI. And we welcome Brandon Johnson back to the microphone. Great to see you, sir.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
How's life out there these days?
It is well. It's a nice warm summer so far, and enjoying the warm days in the housing market.
Saying farewell to June already.
Can you believe it?
Wow. So it has been a good summer for you so far?
Absolutely.
Very good. All right, let's talk a little bit about something that, in my opinion, can be the scariest time when we are buying a home.
Sure.
Okay? My wife used to be involved in real estate, and
Okay.
she would always tell me, Bob, it's not done until the closing is done. I had no idea what she was talking about,
No,
right?
that's correct.
Well, I have bought and sold several houses, about a half a dozen so far, and I get the importance of the closing. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. You know, the old saying is time kills all deals, which is true. I mean, stuff can happen. We talk about life changes. You know, anything from financing falling through to loss of employment to, you know, the inevitable young couple, you know, breaks up. I mean,
Sure.
anything life changes can impact a deal. So that's why we try and, you know, 30 to 45 days just to avoid some of those situations.
You know, I never think that way, right? Because we have always done our due diligence,
Sure.
right? We made sure everything was set to go. I's are crossed, T's are dotted. No way, that's the other way around. But, you know, so much of it, I think, depends upon the relationship between the realtor and their client. And that's why, you know, at VoigtJohnson, I would imagine you don't have too many issues at closing.
Well, what I would say is my biggest philosophy, our philosophy is in any real estate transaction, we cannot eliminate the risks involved. There are inherent risks in life and in real estate. Our job is through experience to minimize all apparent risk as best as possible.
Sure. But like you said, somebody could lose a job.
Yep.
There could be illness. There could be a traffic accident or whatever. The plans just go south.
Sure.
So when all of this has been laid out and you walk into the closing and something is wrong, what happens?
You deal with it as best as possible is what it comes down to. Generally, by the time 99.9% of the time, by the time you get to the closing table, any issues that would have come to light have by that time. So very rarely are you at the closing table still discussing matters, but it does happen.
So who works out all of that stuff? Is it you working with the other person's realtor? How?
Yeah, it's usually the two agents, the listing agent and the buyer's agent, communicating and trying to resolve issues that generally, when you get to that point, what you're alluding to are issues that come up maybe from the walkthrough that happened the hour before.
And like disclaimers are very important, right? Because if you're buying a house and somebody has, hey, there is a water damage here, we're aware of all of this, and it's all in there, it's all in black and white in that contract, that's pretty important.
Yeah, and that, again, those sort of things are dealt with and addressed prior to the day of closing usually.
Can I read this thing that you brought in today? Because to me, this is really cool. This is why we are having this conversation today. And this is, quote, this is just a story. We purchased a home last year, and when we showed up the morning of closing, all the appliances were gone. The listing said they were included and were in the photos. The seller's agent told us they were not part of the deal, and the seller was able to take them. How can that be?
So that's when you talk about issues, personal property, you'd be amazed at how many disputes arise just from appliances, personal property. And what likely happened here from this question is a contract has what we call a personal property addendum.
Okay.
And so anything that is not attached to the home, i.e. light fixtures, mechanicals, structural issues, are not necessarily included in the standard purchase agreement.
Okay.
Now on page 1 of the purchase agreement, there will be a whole list of storage shed. They'll list out a lot of things. Non-attached appliances are not automatically included. Even though we market them that they stay, we say they stay, just because it's in the MLS listing, it has to be in the contract. So what I would guess is this was not included in a personal property addendum for whatever reason, and the sellers are unfortunately taking advantage of that.
Draperies.
So there's a best practices in the purchase agreement. It will list out window treatments.
Sure.
I always like to, in our personal property addendum, be as clear as day, because what happens is there's just a mismatch of expectations, right?
Right.
So even though the purchase agreement will say shed or playset,
Right.
I write that in extra so it's apparent that the buyers are seeking that.
We moved from Rochester to Bismarck. House was sold, blah, blah, blah. We're cruising, got the new one all in place and all of that. And the realtor that was selling our house down in Rochester said, "Hey, Bob, got a problem. Where are the drapes?"
Yeah.
I have no idea. Well, they're in a box somewhere. Were we supposed to leave them? And he said, "Yep." So we worked it all out. We didn't give them the drapes back, but we were able to negotiate, right? Here's extra money for draperies
Sure.
that you can go buy.
Sure. Another one, which I just happened, this was a little over a year ago, but the seller remodeled their kitchen a few prior years earlier. And so he took his cabinets and moved them all into the garage.
Okay.
Nicest garage
Oh, sure.
cabinets you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Those are attached and are a fixture. From a contractual standpoint, those are included to the same degree as the kitchen cabinets.
Sure.
But what he did is he removed them all, and when we showed up for the walkthrough, they were gone. We said, "Hey, those were attached and were a fixture of the property.
Right.
Those need to return." So what we're dealing with here is this is a symptom of a larger problem,
Okay.
in my opinion. And what we live in an era of everything's electronic signatures,
Sure,
documents,
sure.
and so we as agents, we send everything. The convenience is astronomical,
Sure,
right?
it's
we
very
can,
cool.
We can you used to have to meet on an afternoon, schedule that. Now we can just everything goes to our phone and sign.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of agents, buyers, sellers aren't understanding what they're signing because we don't take the time anymore to
Right.
explain it to them. And so a lot of times the buyers and sellers aren't aware of what their expectations for the day of walkthrough and avoid problems. So that's why at VoigtJohnson, we have a policy that we try to adhere to very closely. Is the first time we're ever writing up a purchase agreement
Yeah.
with someone, we do it in person if at all possible, just to be able to explain everything to avoid the mismatch of expectations.
It's all about the relationship.
Absolutely.
Get a good one with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. Everything you need to know about real estate in the area. Taking you home Thursday mornings at 7:23, Saturdays at 7:50 on KNSI. Start your home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Brandon, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.